One of the most daunting things, I think, in doing root canals is really accessing through a crown. Now, for a variety of reasons, it makes doing a root canal potentially really complicated and honestly scary.
Would you kindly pass me a donut?
Donut? What's a donut?
In this video, I want to talk about a couple of tips that we're going to review and take a look at what the pulp looks like in this tooth, in this maxillary first premolar after we access this crown. Hey, this is Ash from All Things Dentistry, the place where we're passionate about sharing those unwritten hints and tips of dentistry. Let's dive into this video. And what I'm doing here is I'm just using a regular diamond, now not a fancy diamond, just a regular diamond to access through the zirconia crown. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to back up, is we're accessing with water at 200,000 RPMs, and I'm just doing my regular access preparation for a maxillary premolar. Now, one of the things that I do before is I'm going to take a look at any type of radiographs that we have on file, whether that be the periapical radiograph. Obviously, a cone beam is helpful, but what's really helpful is the bite wing. And actually the bite wing with the crown, but if you actually have access to a bite wing before the crown was placed, within a recent history, say a few years, that can be really helpful to kind of predict and give you an idea where exactly that pulp chamber is. So what we've done is we've accessed through the crown. Again, it's a zirconia crown. And then what we're going to do is, it's so hard to see what's going on. You know, it's just kind of honestly a black hole, especially if you're not using a microscope. And I understand if you're not, they're expensive. What I do is I'm going to switch to a number 2 round surgical burr and continue my access with that. And the one reason I do that is because I know that right there, see this sort of little subtle thing right here, what they did with the mirror? Boom. What this is I know that this distance from where the shank changes to the tip of the burr is 7 millimeters in the brand that I use. And according to Deutsche Musikhand in 2002-ish, maybe 2004, their study on premolars and the height of where the buccal cusp to the roof of the pulp chamber is, they estimate around 7 millimeters in premolars. That is such a game changer. It's actually an objective, not subjective. It's like an objective number I can use when I'm accessing premolars. So what I'm going to do is, you don't see it here, but I'm accessing to the point where it's not so much I feel a drop, because there is no drop in a lot of these cases, especially premolars. I'm accessing to the point where I see that where that shank is right here changes. I'm right at the height of that cusp. Now, definitely with crowns, it can change, and restorations, the height of the cusps can change, but it's just a guideline. And what I did here is I wanted to share this with you because this is kind of what I thought was the pulp. Now you can see there's our access, and what I'm doing is I'm using my Explorer to kind of pop through any type of calcification. Now I know it's honest. I mean, put in the comments below if you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to figure out what's pulp, what's calcification. And in this case, this actually kind of gave me the hint that it looked like it was pulp tissue, but it actually wasn't. I'm at roughly 6-7 millimeters. This is actually the roof of the pulp chamber. Now, sometimes it looks really white. In this case, it's like this glossy kind of appearance. So when I'm unsure, what I'm going to do is I'll just use my reciprocating file, and I'm going to use this. And what you saw me use before was my endo explorer. I'll use this as an endo explorer, and sometimes what it will do is it'll find a little spot. Boom, look at that. Now this is reciprocating, so you can use an SX, I guess, in this case. But what I know is that when I use this type of reciprocation file, this is reciproc blue, I'm trying it out. I already know now that this is the buccal, so if this is the buccal cusp, this is the buccal canal, and that helps me figure out, like, okay, 2 things. Thank goodness I'm in and I haven't perforated because it's not bleeding. Looks necrotic, or kind of like necrobiotic, if you may. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing is that I know now here, if this is the halfway mark, now you can't always assume that this crown is exactly placed perfectly on this tooth. So I take it with a grain of salt every time you're doing endo, but I know kind of haphazardly, I can estimate, how about that this is the halfway mark, that palatal canal will be very similar distance to this other side. Now that's not telling me if they join, it's not telling me if they're one canal. Now this is a maxillary first premolar, so 87% of the time they have 2 canals. And what I'm going to do there, now you can see me kind of angling my reciprocating handpiece at that angle, but nothing's happening. So what I know to do now is I can take my Munspur. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open, actually, let me step back. I'm going to open the coronal 2/3 of this premolar, just kind of till this. There's 2 ways I do it. I'll do it till the end of the cutting flutes, or until it kind of doesn't keep moving. And then what I can do, so we can see, wow, there's the buccal canal. And when I train dentists, one of the biggest issues I find is that in dental school, we're taught to always do your access and like start putting hand files in, like an 8, 10, 15, without opening the coronal 2/3. And what I found is that it's so difficult to try to find a place to get that file back in if you haven't opened the coronal 2/3. And now you can see I've got this fairly large orifice. It makes life so much easier. And it just builds my confidence that every time I put my file back in, it's much easier to put it back in. So like I said, I now have a reference point. So I'm going to take my Munspur and I'm just going to lightly brush back and forth. I'm going to see if I can remove some of this, the roof of the, I know it's the roof of the pulp chamber now. At that time I didn't. So I came back and I'm going to let the rest of the video kind of roll in high speed, kind of a little bit finishing this access at the end of I can't remember where it is. If you stick to the end of the video, you'll see what I talk about. So what I'm doing is I'm using the distance in my mind from the halfway point to where the buccal is to trough to the palate in the same amount. So you can see right there is one little tip. See this little spot of debris? That gives me a hint that canal is, the palatal canal is kind of around that area, and boom, I popped in. It's very subtle. I don't even know if I saw it intraorally. You can see it on the replay. It's almost like watching football, I guess. I don't know if this is as exciting as football. Maybe as exciting as watching putting. I don't know, golfing.
So now this is a roller coaster ride. Through all that fringe, can you get it to stop right here? And this is the steepest part of the backside of this green. And watch this thing come down. This hole is playing so much more difficult than yesterday. Wind right in the player's face. Will it get there for Sa? Oh, it did.
So what I'm doing here is I'm just brushing a little bit, and then you can see there's our palatal canal. So what you've watched is just from many mistakes as a clinician, slowly learning how to predictably access through a crown. So now what I'm going to do is I'll take my not wave on gold, that's what I use all the time, this reciproc, the R25. I'll be honest, if you made it to this point in the video, I'm still on the fence about reciproc. I love wave on gold, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll irrigate this with sodium epichlorite, and we'll rinse all of this debris out. So I think about endo. When I do endo, is like, I'm not to put a negative thought on endo, but I'm really like the sewer cleaning guy. Like, and especially necrotic teeth. We're going to clean that sewer as best as possible. And that's what I'm doing here. I really appreciate you watching this. So now we can see there's a couple things here. We've got our buccal and palatal canal. And you see how they're they're bilaterally split, it's kind of symmetrical. So that tells me, and this buccal canal, even though I was looking at the radiographs, I don't have a cone beam. This buccal canal is not kind of measly placed. Now there may be, you could easily have a split deeper down, but this gives me a little more confidence that, okay, we got 2 canals. That's a few tips on accessing maxillary premolars. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Watch the rest of the video, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove that isthmus and clean and shape kind of the isthmus so you get an idea of what to do. And it all doesn't have to be done at the beginning of the endo. Endo is a continuum. Anyways, we'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Hey, Ash here, and I wanted to take a second of your time just to introduce our course, Root Canal Like an Endodontist. We've had it for a couple years, and we've had some amazing successes through it. Just confidence building on behalf of our students. And really what happened was, a few years ago, I wanted to create a course to help others, because I know what it's like on your endo journey. A lot of times you don't know what's going on. You don't know if you've ledged it. You don't know what to do if you blocked it. You don't even know if a curved canal, what to do. And what I wanted to do was take all my mistakes and my training from my residency and put it into a affordable online course for everyone around the world to join in. And it's been absolutely amazing. And I wanted to offer to you, check us out at allthingsendo.ca. Once you join the course, you get access into our private Facebook group where all of us answer questions. And I'm telling you, there are questions every day that you might be able to, I'm sure you'll be able to connect with, because sometimes it just takes a little bit of courage to ask a question and then your outcome may be incredible. Anyways, I look forward to seeing you there. allthingsendo.ca. We'll talk to you soon.